Proudly represented their products for the last 18 years. My colleague Mary is here to help as well. She's also been with Sunland and the group for quite a while. Today we're going to present to you Magnolia Apartments, which is the second and final stage of our development here in Palm Beach. We've got a video here, a nice 90-second animation, which is an extremely helpful tool showing your clients how the building looks and feels. And then obviously we have this sales suite to complement all of that with some finishes, an example kitchen and bathroom in behind over here, and lots of beautiful renders to help paint the picture as well. So what I might do is just start with the location. Is everyone familiar with the area here, or not familiar at all, or do you have a rough understanding of Palm Beach?
Just a little bit.
Okay, all right. So
only been to the beach.
Yeah, correct. Palm Beach sits between. It's the southern end of the Gold Coast. There are only a handful of suburbs further south, and then you reach the border of Queensland and New South Wales. We're quite close to the airport. We're within a 7-minute drive to the airport, so it's very convenient. The M1 motorway and the Gold Coast Highway run closer together here in Palm Beach than they do anywhere else on the Gold Coast. So proximity to get to the main motorways is excellent. Palm Beach, our project sits within to the northern end of Palm Beach, so it's defined by the Currumbin headland, which sits to the south, and then to the north the Burleigh headland. So basically between those two headlands sits Palm Beach. The avenues run from, basically the streets in Palm Beach run from 1st Avenue in the south all the way up to 28th Avenue in the north. We're situated on 19th, so we're a bit past halfway to the northern end, or closer to the Burleigh end of Palm Beach. To the west, the M1 actually defines Palm Beach. So it's actually quite a boutique suburb. It's quite small in geography, but it probably, I'd like to say, it occupies the most unique bit of our coastline. Main reason being is we have an estuary in Currumbin, and also one in Tallabudgera, which are both extremely popular spots for locals and visitors because of their still water. They've got safe havens, lovely safe swimming areas, beautiful crystal clear waters. You've actually got the Burleigh Head National Park there as well. So about 5 years ago, Sunland purchased a block of land here in Palm Beach, which was previously the Palm Beach Caravan Park. So it was a big parcel of land, 3 hectares, or about 30,000 square metres of land, without any houses or dwellings on it, just basically caravan park. So, excuse me 1 second. Mary, can you go down? So, Sunland saw a golden opportunity in the caravan park, and this land obviously adjacent the beach. We've got the beach just across the highway here via a crossing. So what we did was we broke the land into 2 parts. The first part was to be zoned for duplex, and we subdivided that land, which was about 2 hectares of land, into 40 blocks of land, and then put a duplex on each one. So it was a tremendous success for Sunland, and some would say the catalyst for the whole transition that's underway in Palm Beach at the moment. Sunland are a local developer, 35 years, I'm sure you're familiar with the group, public listed company, but we hadn't really ventured this far south in the past, so all our projects were concentrated more in the central and northern areas of the Gold Coast. So we're confident in the market here, and we went ahead and built the 88 townhouses. As I mentioned, they were a tremendous success and the catalyst for what's happening now in Palm Beach. There's renovation and private infrastructure, private spending in the millions going on right now in the area. One of the reasons it's so attractive is the median prices are lower, considerably lower to the other beachside suburbs further north of here. So the geography is very similar, as in it's beachside, but the prices hadn't caught up, mainly due to lack of development for the last 20 years in Palm Beach. So we came along, we built our townhomes and sold them out. They're all fully occupied. We've got lots of happy owners living in there now. And what we've now done is activated the second stage of the site, which is a 12,000 square metre site. And after lots of planning with council and back and forward and negotiating, the town plan here is very strict, very sensitive in maintaining that village type atmosphere, even right through to the architecture in the buildings. It's not CBD, it's not in a city, so we didn't want a big tall mirrored building sitting in the middle of a beachside suburb. So what we've done is we've created two 12-level buildings, and what we learned about the market here is the local market is a very strong market here. We're, I guess, attracting end users and younger professional couples, even first home buyers with our price point now, starting at $395. And also it's a very attractive proposition for your investors. The rental yields are very strong and the vacancy rate is very low, so it's only getting better in that respect. The other major component there or factor adding to that and fueling to that is simply the lack of new buildings and new dwellings in the area. As I mentioned, there's been very little developed in the last 20 years in Palm Beach. So Palm Beach is really catching up now with the northern suburbs such as Burleigh and Mermaid and Broadbeach, etc. The good thing is it's still behind, so there's a good potential for some growth in the area as that influx keeps coming in and the demographics are changing. So with regard to the site, it's the biggest residential site being developed at the moment in Palm Beach at 12,000 square metres. Our office is situated right here on this corner. I'm not sure which way you came in, but this is the Gold Coast Highway, so the beach sits here on this map. Gold Coast Highway, north to Surfers Paradise, and then obviously south to Coolangatta. 19th Avenue, as I mentioned before, this is the 19th Street that runs east-west from the ocean, 1 to 28 from one end to the other, so 19th Avenue running through here. And then this is called Brook Avenue here. So we actually have 3 street frontages here. The big advantage is we're able to bring in traffic in through Brook Avenue as opposed to trying to get in off the Gold Coast Highway, which can get busy. So we've got great access over here. The access runs in under the buildings and we have 2 basement levels of parking underneath. You're probably aware of a number of buildings now having to use car elevators due to lack of size on the sites. So we're more traditional in that we have 2 proper big basements underneath. The land is, as I mentioned before, the council is quite sensitive with the planning here. Due to the site and our coverage, we're only covering about 30% of the site with the footprints of our buildings. So the density versus the size of the land is very low. We've actually dedicated 2,250 metres or half an acre of green space back to the community. This park here will become a council asset after completion. We'll develop it, we'll landscape it, and then it'll be handed back to the community. You can see the green space everywhere around the project. There is a very strong emphasis on plants, landscaping, and greening up these buildings. We've even got plants cascading over the sides of the building. They sit in common areas, so the body corporate maintain them. And that obviously adds to the facade and the attractive facade of the buildings. So 2 towers, 12 levels, combination of 1, 2 and 3 bedrooms. We have ocean facing apartments and hinterland facing apartments. The south tower is the first release and then we'll release the north tower in due course. So we have a resort-style facilities, but not to confuse the buildings with a resort. It's not a holiday building. This is a residential building only. However, we've equipped it with almost holiday-type facilities. Up on that render there, you can see the pool. It's over 20 metres long and about 6 metres wide, so it's actually quite a large pool. We have barbecue areas, double barbecue areas with ample seating and arrangements. We've also got a residence lounge sitting in here, so that can be booked via the on-site management for your own private function.
How big was the pool again?
It's over 20 metres long and approximately 6 metres wide.
6 meters wide.
So this room's 7 metres wide, so yeah, if you get 20 metres long, it's more than double the depth of this room, so it's an excellent sized pool. There's a nice grass raised podium area here, and then the sun deck all the way around the facilities. They're all encased in landscaping, so they're very private, and they're also raised up on a podium level, so it's a beautiful accompaniment to the buildings.
Are they shared with the townhomes?
No, so the existing townhomes are within a separate body corporate. They have no affiliation other than the builder and the language. There is no access to any of the facilities in here via the existing townhomes. We also have 6 terrace homes here, or townhouses, on the site, so they're, I guess, a continuation of what we did previously, which, as I mentioned, was very successful for Sunland. 2 of these have sold, so we have 4 of these remaining, and they're priced at $835,000. 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, double garage, accessed via the basement. Garages are inside the basement. And these are very unique in that they actually have their own private terraces that will open out into this area. You can see them in the background there. So it's the first townhome we've done where you actually get access to full resort facilities, giving them a point of difference.
But they're priced over $750.
They are, yeah. Well, the market's moved. In the last 12 months in Palm Beach, there's been over 12% growth. So double-digit growth in the area. So and it's still growing strong. So the 2 towers, I'm pretty sure you've all been to our Royal Pines project. So the central foyer that was in the Marina Residences, the circular foyer area, we've done a similar thing in here. This foyer is a beautiful entrance statement. You can see over here in these renders, as an owner coming in from, say, your beach walk in the morning or grabbing a coffee, you'll come into this foyer. You'll need security swipe access. Once you get inside the foyer, you'll have a glass encased walkway that leads you into the respective tower, the tower you live in. Once you get inside that tower, you'll need to swipe your elevator pass to get you to the floor you live on. You can't access the opposite tower, only the tower that you live in. So security is very tight. Now, what we've done with the apartments, we've reserved the ocean side for the 3-bedroom and a 2-bedroom plus study design. The 3-bedders sit on each end, and then the 2-pluses sit internally in between. The 3-bedders, just to give you some stats on those, you're looking at 143 to 146 square metres, and they're priced from $795,000. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2 side-by-side car parks, and a separate storage cage.
That's very good price.
Very well priced. They're northeast facing in this tower, so they've got that premium aspect. The 2+ studies are at 112 metres on the ocean side. They are a 2-bedroom, 2-bath plus a study, and they come with a single car park and a storage area from levels 2 to 6, and then from 6 and above, 2 to 5, 6 to 11, they come with a second car space. Now they start at $625,000, and I'll give you a price list, so it's okay. They start at $625,000 with a single space, and then when you get to level 7, level 6 is sold now. Level 7 is priced at $684,000 for 2-bed, 2-bath, 2-car side by side. Rents on that have been appraised between $700 and $750 per week. On the hinterland side, the hinterland's stunning, even at ground level. If you have a look out through the doors there, if you just step out to the side here, even at this level here, you can see the mountains. So you can imagine getting up 2 or 3 levels from here. There's no high-rise, there's no zoning for high-rise to the back here, so your views are stunning. When you get a little bit higher, you start to pick up the canal. There's a canal system that runs through Palm Beach. So you start to pick up bits of water as well. So the views out here are beautiful. And you don't need to get high to get that clear view. So on the hinterland side, we have got 5 apartments across the floor. And that's a combination of a single one-bedder, and then 4 different 2-bedroom plans. So typically there are 9 floor plans on the main floors of the building. They vary on the ground floor. If you've seen our Marina Concourse project at Royal Pines, you might have seen how they form the ground floor terrace areas. So you have your own private terrace opening out off your living areas. We have the same thing here. With the oceanside apartments all have substantial grassed, fully fenced, secured terrace areas. To give you an idea, the 3-bedder is over 300 square metres, including the terrace on the ground floor. On the hinterland side, they also, the apartments, the 2s and the 1s, have their own private terrace as well, and these will open directly into the pool area. So you'll have your own access without having to go through the lobby or utilising any of the elevators.
That's the ground floor one.
This is the ground floor. So if you picture it this way, the ground floor has its own unique set of floor plans. Then, remember there are 12 levels. From 2 to 11, you have the same floor layout all the way from 2 to 11. The only differences are the car park arrangements on the higher floors on the ocean side. And then the top floor, we introduce a new template which includes 4 penthouses. North Tower will be released in the near future. Obviously on the North Tower we have hinterland facing units over the park area, and the ocean side will face southeast. They're not yet on the market, but if you did have a buyer that was absolutely adamant on something on this side, we certainly don't want to lose that buyer. So we can sign an expression of interest with the price to be confirmed once it's released. That buyer would have first right of refusal on that apartment. Obviously all our energy and focus is over here at the moment. So if you have a look at that render there, the logistics are over. Now we can start looking at the renders. This park here is a view as if where your cars are parked at the moment in the car park. You're standing in that car park at the end of our shed looking back toward the building. This is what you'd see. So this road here is the road heading toward the ocean, and we're looking at the hinterland side of the building. Sunland have very cleverly separated all the balconies here. So I'm sure everyone's been in a situation where you get into an apartment and there's a little glass panel dividing the balcony, and you can hear the neighbour. Sometimes their can rolls under the glass, or these are all individual balconies, completely separate.
How is it individual?
As in, there is no division. See, so there's only one section where a balcony shares the same section. That is its own balcony. That is its own balcony. Then you've got a distance before you get to the next one.
Does that mean people in the middle don't have balconies?
No, in here, you mean, or?
No, in the middle.
No. So these windows form part of that apartment.
Oh, okay.
Then they will form part of that one, and vice versa.
This is the back.
That's the hinterland side. The ocean side's very similar.
I thought there were 4 units there.
There's 5 units on this side.
5 units, yeah.
And what it is actually, this is a 2-bedder on this end. There's a 2-bedder on that end. This is a 2-bedder in the middle, so that's 3. We've got another 2-bedder in the middle here, and then a 1-bedder sitting in the middle. So that gives you your 5.
Building.
So that's one building, and you'll see our architecture, as you've all seen. This is actually 2 frames, 2 separate frames. It's deliberately trying to separate the building or make it look as if it's separate.
Yeah.
It actually creates division between these balconies. These are actually windows in between. So if you're inside that balcony, you're just looking at a window, you're oblivious to what's outside. So it's very clever architecture. Gives the illusion of two buildings, but this is actually one.
How are we dividing these? This one and that one?
There's a full division between the roof and the ceiling.
Because I used to be at Meriton, and they have concrete divisions in between two apartments, but when you do that, you can still see people.
Exactly what we've tried to avoid here. So it's the first time we've had this complete separation with the balconies, with exception to that section there. On the front, the balconies are all a quarter of a building apart from each other. So you'd really have to yell and wave to your neighbour around the corner to get their attention. We'll have some on-site retail. So we're doing 300 metres of retail space on site. That will sit under the North Tower, just in this section here. We've already been approached by some high-end operators coming out of Burleigh, which is becoming the capital of food for the Gold Coast now. So there's an overflow now coming into Palm Beach. Some tremendous cafes, restaurants in this area now. And as I say, we've been approached by several high-profile operators.
So when you say 300 metres, how many shops will be there?
So we're flexible, so it'll depend. We'll negotiate with the retailer. To give you an idea, this office is 200 square metres in size. So the 300 metres is 200 front of house and then 100 back of house for the kitchens and the storage, etc. There's also another 100 metres of alfresco. You'll see finer detail on that in the animation. There's a couple of shots that really focus in on that retail. This is another one of those shots. So at the moment we're looking at a morning and a lunchtime trade, coffee, breakfast, lunch, and then it'll shift to an evening trade. I've been approached by a wood-fire pizza operator. You can smell the pizza already. I think that'll really complement the buildings, and the northern end of Palm Beach is lacking retail, so it's much thicker, if you like, back in central Palm Beach.
So 300 metres is like 300 square metres?
300 square metres of retail, yeah,
okay.
yeah. So it won't be a Coles or a 7-Eleven or a Night Owl or anything like that. It'll be fine dining or dining, and as I say, a morning and lunch trade. That'll shift to an evening trade later in the day. On-site manager will manage all the day-to-day maintenance, swimming pools, gardens, and any other maintenance that's required. They'll also handle the rental, so the permanent rental in the building, within the building. The on-site, this is not a hotel. It's not, so you won't find a big reception with hosts or hostesses behind the desk. It's a residential building, so the on-site manager would purely handle permanent rental. Generally, they can achieve the best rental for the owner, and obviously being on site, they're only a phone call away if they're ever needed. So,
do we know who they are now?
No, so we'll appoint an on-site manager closer to completion.
Is that for sale?
It will be.
Okay.
Yes. So if you do get an investor there, obviously we've encouraged them to sign with the on-site management. That way, obviously, they maintain control of the building. We get a lot of questions about holiday rental. It's not holiday rental, as I mentioned. It's not set up and structured for holiday rental. Palm Beach isn't really promoted as a holiday suburb, even though there are a few buildings as holiday buildings. Obviously, we've got Broadbeach, or more so Service Paradise, to cater to the holiday maker in most cases. A little bit of traffic comes down to Burleigh and then a little bit further south. So this is not holiday let. Airbnb, I get the question all the time. We will discourage Airbnb, but we can't outlaw it. So there's no legislation yet under government ruling. There is no way that we can actually outlaw it or ban it. So if an owner chooses to do so, they won't have the assistance of the on-site management. However, as I say, we can't outlaw it. Completion is estimated for late 2020. So we've got basically a 114-week construction program, and we'll commence next month, almost next month, in July. We'll commence in July, which will take completion to the end of 2020. South Tower will be erected first, and then the North Tower will follow shortly thereafter. Toward the end, we'll bring in the completion within a couple of months of each other for the towers. So in other words, if you're moving into the South Tower, we're not going to have cranes and concrete pumps still going on the North Tower. It would be internal fit out that you wouldn't even really know is happening. So before we have a look at the kitchen and the bathroom, have I covered everything? Has anyone got any questions?
Have we got FRB approval on the building, or is it
Indeed.
separate?
No, we do.
So we had approval on it. Does that mean we don't have to pay separately to get approval for each individual?
No, but I think the it's still an individual. You mean for the 5,000 or
yeah. 500.
5,500
Yeah.
or 500.
So that still need to be paid by whoever is buying it.
Yeah.
But we can sell to investors.
Yeah, we can sell up to 50%
Okay.
to offshore buyers. Yes.
So that's
But then it's the buyer's responsibility to make the application to the FIRB.
Yep.
For the FIRB.
And visitor car parks?
So car parking, obviously there's a requirement by council. We have retail on site, so we've got to have a retail component and visitor. So we've actually got bike storage, we've got visitor parking and retail, which totals around almost 30 car parks.
It's all like all underneath the.
Yeah, and they're underneath. A few of them are exposed here, but the rest of the retail and the visitor is under here. However, it's not behind the security gate. So an owner would drive further and then get to a gate and drive in.
So 30 is the total of the exposed
For the
and the underneath.
Correct, yes. There's off-street parking. I can imagine people pulling up here in the morning, running in, grabbing their coffee and then on their way again. We've got a school across the road, so the retail is going to be a very attractive proposition.
Which school is it?
Palm Beach Primary School,
Oh, okay.
just here.
Yeah.
Shopping in the area, there's 3 shopping centres within 5 minutes drive. You've got, the biggest one of those would be the Pines Shopping Centre. Stocklands in Burleigh is only about 7 minutes away here over through the Gold Coast Highway and over the Burleigh Hill. We've also got a smaller boutique shopping centre on 19th Avenue, so straight down here, 3 minutes in your car and you come to the 19th Ave shopping centre. There's a Woolworths, bakery, news agency, several food outlets in there as well. And the newest shopping to come to Palm Beach is actually in Pavilions, which is maybe 2 minutes south on the Gold Coast Highway from here, once you're in the car. Coles are actually already positioned down there under a building. They're relocating to the front of the same block of land to get the street exposure. Now, on that note, obviously that's going to cost Coles tens of millions of dollars to close the current Coles they have and simply move it to the front of the block. The only reason they're doing that, a massive retailer like Coles might, the only reason they're doing that is because they're ultra confident in the new emerging market in Palm Beach. Otherwise they'd just leave Coles where it was, keep operating. So that will incorporate new outlets, new restaurants, cafes. So once again, a really strong sign of confidence from a major retailer.
That's 2 minutes drive to.
Correct. Yeah. Called Pavilions. So might be 3 minutes if you get every red light on the way.
Okay.
2 minutes if you get green lights. So lots of shopping within. I mean, Pacific Fair. Same thing, depending on how many red lights you get, you could get there in 10 minutes, it might take 15 minutes if the traffic's heavy.
Okay.
Rabina Town Centre, same distance, straight out to the M1, and you get 10 minutes up the road and you're at Rabina. So it's very central to everything.
Are we getting the light rail?
The light rail's proposed to come through. As with every suburb and every new extension, it's it's being met with a lot of fierce resistance at the moment. However, the town plan has allowed for the rail to come through Palm Beach. We have factored in, there is what they call a reclamation zone, so where the council can actually reclaim part of the land to extend the road and allow for the light rail to come through. All our planning was approved only by us, obviously forfeiting this 3 metre setback from the highway.
So that's preparing for the light rail.
Correct. We have a bus stop right in front of the building,
Okay.
and that heads north.
Yep.
And across the road, via the pedestrian crossing at the traffic lights, is the southbound bus stop, straight across the road. So once the light rail comes through, transport's fantastic. And with the M1 only a couple of kilometres away from here, a few minutes in the car, access is excellent.
Hospitals?
John Flynn Hospital. John Flynn Hospital. John Flynn Hospital, same distance as the airport. So yeah, you're 10 minutes, 15 in heavy traffic.
Do we have the natural gas here?
Yes, correct. Yeah, we do. So natural gas will be plumbed through the buildings, as will the NBN network. Everything will be NBN through here.
Is it gated, the whole thing?
The gate is in the basement. So yeah. So driving in, and as I mentioned before, any entry or exit anywhere into the building, into the facility, only a resident can access these areas. So with the retail here, obviously you've got your retail parking outside of the security gates.
And how's council rates at Palm Beach?
Yeah, about 2,000 per year, approximately, plus your water. Your water would be separately metered via your own meter into the apartment. So if you had an investor buying, that investor can push the water charges, the consumption back on the tenant.
Is 2,000 plus like rates and water or just water?
No, 2,000 for the rates, and then your water consumption and usage. So we're saying approximately 500. Obviously, in an apartment, you don't have gardens to water. You can't wash your car out of your apartment, so it's limited water usage. Keeps that cost down.
And how about body corp?
So body corporates range, for the one bedder, they range from 80 to 85 per week. The two bedder 90 to 95, and the three bedder 100 to 105. And on our fact sheet it states all those figures.
That's very similar to Marine Concourse.
Yes.
But we have a bigger pool.
The beach is across the road here too. Obviously the lifestyle here, people are moving here for the lifestyle, and obviously proximity to everything. It's a quieter, it has a villagey type atmosphere. There's some great eateries in town. And as I mentioned earlier, there's massive amounts of spending, both private and public, in infrastructure going on. So the suburb's improving every year at the moment tremendously. It's drawing different types of buyers, the demographics are changing. There's a real emerging market now for younger professionals wanting that beachside lifestyle that's still affordable.
Yeah.
Without getting into much higher price ranges. So, and without going too far south or too far north.
And so natural gas is used for the cooktop and the hot water, right?
So hot water would be a tank on top of the building, and then as it comes down through your apartment, it goes through a meter. So you're only paying for the hot water that you use. The standard cooktop is induction. However, we have a gas option, and what we've done with upgrades in these apartments, and if we want to move into the kitchen, I'll talk about the finishes. Lens finishes. These are going to be unfamiliar because they're all brand new finishes. About the only continuation is this colour here. So What you're seeing in here is the penthouse level of finishes. Now, any apartment can upgrade to this level of finish. The one bedder on level 2 can upgrade to a penthouse finish. The standard finishes, there's basically 3 levels of finishes. So on your hinterland side, all the hinterland facing apartments will have an extent of timber floor. They'll have a stone bench top, but it won't be this marble, it'll be a what we call concrete gloss, a light grey reconstituted stone, or some say Caesar stone. It's got a sparkle in it, so it's a beautiful matte finished bench top.
Is it white?
No, it's a light grey, and with the black tapware, it looks amazing. It looks very modern. The standard doors or panels in the kitchen are high gloss laminate, which is almost impossible to tell the difference unless you get very close. This is 2-pack. The standard finish would include 2 basins, but without the stone in between. I know it's only a minor detail, but it's quite an upgrade, an expensive upgrade. So you still have your double bowls, however they're a joined bowl without the stone in between.
What's that yellow thing?
That's iron, so that's a natural, I guess, a natural stain through the top. It's a metallic stain through the marble. So being a natural stone, it's going to have natural imperfections. Some might not get any, some might get some. The flooring.
Did you say it was standard to be wooden floor?
So yeah, hinterland side, and don't worry about too much about the finishes. What I'll do is I'll give you the upgrade list so you can see. And when you look at the floor plans, let me grab a floor plan quickly, just so everyone can see. I'll bring it back in here. Hinterland side finishes, which remember can be upgraded to penthouse if you like, so it depends on your personal preference. If you have a look here. Okay, so when you look at the 2 buildings, I'll show you the site plan just so you can identify the location. So there's the site plan. Here's the Gold Coast Highway, South Tower here, the one we're concentrating on at the moment. The office is over here. You've come in and parked in here. So you can see now the A, the B and the C types are on the ocean side, and then your D, E, F, G, H on the hinterland side. So the hinterland facing apartment, let's say the D type here, you'll see that when you come in, this is 128 square metres. It's a 2-bedroom apartment, massive. You'll see here when you come in the entry, the timber is laid in a linear pattern or lengthways, as opposed to this herringbone pattern. Okay, and don't worry because every floor plan is relevant to the finish, or the finish is relevant to the floor plan. So this is correct when you look at this here. So you have timber through your entry into the kitchen and around the hallway into this bathroom and giving access to the bedrooms. Where you don't see that pattern, you go into a carpet finish in your living area. Tile on the balcony, and then you can see also a tile in the bathroom. If you have a look at this one, this is the ocean side 2-bedder. So now we've moved on to the ocean side, the C type over here. This was the D type before on the hinterland side. You can see now the timber runs all the way through the living area everywhere, bar the bedrooms and the tile areas. So automatically the ocean side apartments benefit from that upgrade in timber. However, we've got an option where you can upgrade all this to timber. I guess for your investor, they're probably not going to action all these upgrades because essentially they don't really add to the rental value. So you might outlay an extra $10,000 or $15,000 in upgrades, but you're not really going to achieve that back in rental income. So if it was just to do with numbers, you're probably not going to find there's much emotion in that buy. It's more about the numbers, so no upgrade.
But I find it easier to rent when you rented. With the lakes, we had the upgrade of all the
Yeah.
everything, and
Yeah.
that's really easy
You
to
found
get.
that? Okay.
I
There you go.
recommend
Yeah.
in 2
Yeah.
weeks, and everybody else who has carpets, more than a month. Seriously.
Okay. All right. So investors need to upgrade.
You mentioned about the ocean side, the facing the ocean side. That's all the apart, even from the ground floor, you still can see the ocean.
No. So level 2,
Start from level 2.
the tiniest glimpse of ocean. Almost,
Basically,
or you could
levels.
almost not call it an ocean or warrant it as an ocean.
So starting from level 3, when you see water.
Level 3, you see a little bit of water. 4, you're seeing a bit more. I'm going to say from level 5 and above is where you start to get a nicer ocean view. Obviously, if you go to level 9,
it's like Gold Coast Highway.
yeah, you get to level 9, the views you see to Service Paradise up the coastline. So, and it's all priced relatively, obviously. So the hinterland's been more popular with the investor at the moment, simply because of the price point, the difference in the pricing. Body corporate's much the same. You do get the upgrade on the ocean side. Most of the ocean side apartments so far have been bought by owner-occupiers. So, as I mentioned, I won't complicate it too much more with the finishes, but remember that any apartment can upgrade to the top level or a mid-spec finish as well. The entry-level finish is still stunning. Timber, smeg appliances, induction, cooktop, high-gloss joinery. All the apartments have a 2.6 metre ceiling in your living area.
2.7?
2.6, which is quite rare in an apartment.
2.6.
Typically you'd find 2.4, which is your 8-foot ceiling. So 2.6 in an apartment, what that essentially does in a 12-storey building, every apartment has that much extra ceiling height, 200 millimetres. Times that by 12, and we've just added a whole other floor to the building. So in terms of construction cost, overall cost for Sunland, it's a huge expense to add that whole floor but not be able to sell that extra floor because it's all made up in that extra height per apartment.
Is that only in the living area or everywhere?
Only in the living, look, the whole apartment's 2.6, but certain sections we'll have to drop a section so we can get the air conditioning in. They're all ducted aircon.
Okay.
They'll all have their own zone control, heating and cooling, individual systems. So there are areas we have to drop the ceiling down because you've got solid concrete floors in between each level.
How about the blinds? Are they not included?
Not included.
And 10% for overseas?
20.
20. Just trying.
You've got to ask. That's obviously a requirement from the banks, from
And
our
only
lenders.
10% for local, right?
Correct. Yeah. So normal procedure, expression of interest, 5,000 deposit to secure the apartment. Then we prepare the contracts. Once they've exchanged, the 10 or 20% deposit is due 7 to 14 days after the contracts are exchanged. Then nothing else happens until settlement. We update via construction updates all the way through.
Is that the fridge?
So that's part of the penthouse package, yes. So the penthouse package, basically you go to the marble in the kitchen and the bathrooms. You go to 2-pack joinery. You go to the double sink with the stone in between, and then this new integrated fridge. So it's a French door. It's a Fisher and Paykel fridge. French door.
How much is it to upgrade?
The penthouse upgrade
Is it a package?
It's a package, yeah.
Can't upgrade like
No.
individually.
No. There are some things you can upgrade individually, but the package itself, the penthouse upgrade, comes in at it's about 13,000.
Which
And-
ones
and-
are the ones that you can upgrade?
Let me show. I'll show you the upgrade form. Just leave for a minute. I'll put it back into it. This is what we would present the purchaser. Have a look there. There's another. That's another. And what you'll find is up the top, you'll be able to reference the lot number, the top, the plan,
Yeah.
type,
Okay.
and then obviously this shows what you can do. Basically, I've got the penthouses here, so there's not much you can do to upgrade the penthouses other than go from induction to gas. That's the only upgrade in the penthouse because it's obviously
So
has.
the guys
Oh, so that's
saw
the
you in the
penthouse.
penthouse package. It's basically individual.
Everyone gets induction,
Yeah.
but your gas is an upgrade.
Extra.
It's actually an upgrade.
So that's for the penthouse.
So that's the penthouse. That's why that one looks fairly blank. That's the most. That's where the bulk of the floor plans lie. This one here. So the penthouse upgrade's $13,035, and then it lists what you actually get in that upgrade. The other upgrades here are specific to each floor plan, and what it does is it captures the extension of that timber floor area.
Yeah.
So generally you're looking at about 4,000 or 5,000 to install the timber right through the whole living area. And they're priced accordingly. Obviously the smaller areas are cheaper and the larger. That one's one of the biggest upgrades in the timber.
So for all these units, if they choose to upgrade with the package, it's that price?
Correct.
So this person might as well just do that?
Well, no, this is different. This is simply extending the timber floor in the D type. This is the D, and that's why I just mentioned this is the biggest one because of the size. This is a huge apartment, 128. So the D type, type D, extend the timber floor to the living, dining and corridor in herringbone pattern, in this pattern. There'll be the D type also extend in linear. See the difference? The linear is 8,000, meaning the length all the way. Or if you want to extend all the timber in this pattern, these are laid individually, these pieces. Each piece is laid individually. It's not a big floor tile, so it's very, very labour intensive.
So this package doesn't include the timber floor, is that right? This package?
No, that's right. The penthouse upgrade doesn't. That's why we've listed the timber as separate upgrades.
Okay, so when you upgrade to
Penthouse is mainly to do with the kitchen finish,
not the floor.
and then you've got your flooring finishes, upgrades. Yeah. Is that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Have I completely confused you?
A little bit.
You'll get the hang of it. Just, if in doubt, refer to the floor plan and then just marry it up, or just pick up the phone and give me a call and I'll talk you through it. It's probably the easiest thing to do.
Where is the corridor?
Corridor is a hallway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, corridor is a hallway.
Is it just the corridor hallway? That's alright.
Yeah. Give me a call if there's any questions. Like I say, I mean, if we're sitting down with the client, we can go through all that, present all those options to them.
How much are the penthouse again?
Penthouses, we've got them as POA. They range from 1.1 to 1.25.
Oh, that's affordable.
Very reasonable. 160, around 150 to 160 square metres, rooftop, beautiful big overhanging roofs on the balconies. Stunning. Yeah. I haven't included the penthouses because it's quite a complex building in terms of the amount of floor plans and upgrades and things. So basically I've given you the bulk of the main levels. If you need something outside, if you need the terrace on the ground or the penthouse, sing out, email me, call me, text me and I'll shoot it over to you.
Yeah, it is getting very complicated. There's this one and the hills with all the upgrades and stuff.
We'll make it as smooth and simple as we can.
You know what that means? That means your sales team is not getting along with the designers. They're trying to make your job harder.
We actually are, because we've got big balconies, we've got some new finishes. We're very excited about the new finishes. The carpet colour, that carpet you're standing on is the new colour. There's two shades, so it's once again bringing in some nice beach tones, some sandy colours, all very warm, neutral tones. Obviously the inclusion of the black tapware now, it's very, very on trend, it's very modern.
Is that the same as the hills?
I don't know, I haven't been to the
It looks
house.
the same.
It might possibly be, yeah. I've got two finishes boards at the other, in the boardroom, and basically that's the darker of the two carpets, the other one's a few shades lighter. We're calling it a sand colour or a tan or a sand. It's warm.
And that's just.
They're just
no
facade.
storage.
There's no storage there.
Okay. Oh, okay. You can't have a bar to get to.
No. You got a balcony. You wouldn't sit at the bar. You'd sit on the balcony.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right.
Anything else?
No. Is there any questions?
How many have we sold now?
So we're approaching 20 sales now. We're just on 20 sales. We opened 2 weeks ago. So worked through our pre-sale campaign, and then we're open for business.
And did you say the rental was about 6%?
No, I didn't refer to any percentages. What
Yeah, I
is
just
I'll
calculated.
as it grows, yeah.
Yeah, because you said the other one was 7 at around not close to 700, but the rental was going to be 750.
Yes, so the one better priced now from 409 will rent minimum 450 and approach 500,
That's
somewhere
nice.
between. Yeah. So two better because of the diverse range. You've got your hinterland facing from 580, then you step right up to the mid 7s for a high floor ocean facing. The two betters rent from 650 to 750 per week, depending on which floor plan and which aspect, and the car park and etc. So they're still providing a good yield, and the demand here will be strong.
And what was the standard finishes? Is that the black mesh?
Yeah, that's the only option for the tapware.
That's the only option. So they're all the
Everyone has the black tapware.
Okay.
Yeah, throughout bathrooms, laundries.
We'll have a look at the finishes.
Sure. Oh,
You just look one
very good.
to me.
Fantastic. We'll have to sit down and look at this one.
Yeah, I'll take my brother.
Excellent. Two finishes boards here. So basically these are your two carpet colours. That's actually this carpet here. So there's no natural light in here, so it's a little bit deceiving, but there's obviously your timber is the same throughout. Remember, it's just the extent of timber, how much timber is used in the apartment, and the pattern of timber. That when you refer to that upgrade schedule. The floor tile in the bathroom is the ivory tile here, the porcelain, and the balcony will be the same tile but with a gritty finish, so it's not slippery. The carpet, you just choose light or dark, there's no cost difference. This is the bench top, so this is the concrete gloss. So it's very neutral, you can see it blends beautifully with the mirror and the carpet and the timber. It's all nice and neutral, and then you add the black tapware, and all of a sudden it's very modern. It's beautiful. That's the upgrade to the marble finish there. So the only other difference is this one here is the high gloss laminate. So this is without the upgrading to the penthouse package. This is the standard panelling for the kitchens and bathrooms, and then the 2-pack is this one here, which you can see has a rolled edge. It's obviously, everyone knows that 2-pack is painted panel versus a laminate panel.
What's the bottom?
That bottom is another piece of this stone here. In the penthouse upgrade, they don't put the marble in the laundry. It's only a small top generally, so they'll use this stone in the laundry, but that will be used throughout the bathroom and the kitchen, both bathrooms and kitchens. All the apartments have a storage cage as well, every single one.
And the towel and the bathroom, they're all the same.
The tiles? Yeah, the tiles are all the same. There's no upgrade. Even the penthouse has the same tile.
Okay. Such a shame the marble has stains.
It depends on the piece, I guess. The slice that
Well, we
comes
don't
out
get
of the
to
ground.
choose, right?
It's not natural.
No,
So it's
you
safe
got to
not to
think
have it.
it's unique. If you get a stain through your stone, it's unique. It's iron. It's iron. You can't polish it out either. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
That's a great render there. That one there really helps you understand. Yeah, you've honed in on that. Really helps you understand how big that site is. If you have a look at that, I know it's a little bit small, but if you get up close and have a look at that, you can see exactly how it's all situated. I know that's probably a little bit daunting to try and study that image there. So yeah, if you have a look at that there, you'll see how it all sits.
And that building in the front,
Yes.
is that what is it?
Okay, 19th Avenue. So, question is, does it impact the view? Yes, it does. It does impact the view. We've got drone footage that I can supply you with, and you'll see here, we haven't deleted that building. It's very much part of that ocean view, so you can see what it does to the view. So there you go. You can see what we've done is just done even levels, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. You can see in the distance Surfers Paradise skyline, even from level 8, you can see it there. So that building, while it probably sounds strange, I use the analogy, I mean, put your hand in front of you. The closer you are, the more it blocks. The further away, the less it blocks. So it sounds silly, but someone to better understand what sort of impact that has on the view, when you look at that, you can see there's plenty of ocean either side. We're not asking premium beachfront pricing. Had we been on the sand, these would be double the price.
What's going to happen here?
So that site there, that was Mick Doohan's site. Mick Doohan is the old ex-world champion motorcycle champion. He owned that block of land. He originally tried to get a tavern approved on there. Tavern? Tried. Yeah, failed. He recently sold that block of land. So a health aged care facility provider now owns the land, and they are trying to get an approval for an 11-storey aged care facility on that block.
So that would...
Once again, it will impact the view. It will impact the view, but depending on the floor and the level, you certainly have excellent corridors each way. That's the highest other building except for ours in Palm Beach, and it's not yet approved. So every chance it will be. Down the track. It would be a very high-end facility, obviously aged care on the sand, basically, on the beachfront.
Northeast, so that's on...
Northeast is on the south tower, looking northeast.
That's the one we're selling, right?
Yeah, however, some of the apartments have balconies that tilt to the southeast. So just have a look at the southeast view as well. That's your south view there. So there's stunning views to the southeast. Now the majority of the other buildings in Palm Beach being developed at the moment are between 7 and 8 levels.
How many levels is this one?
That's 6 levels.
Okay.
So even straight across the road, that has very little impact. Even on lower floors, you can see it doesn't impact too much on the view. There's huge corridors each way. It's not CBD. We don't have walls and walls of buildings in every direction. We have a couple of tall towers, just so happen to be in front of ours.
That's okay.
Like I say, if we were on the ocean front, the prices would be considerably different to what they are.
Yeah, the lady from Chevron 1 actually made a very interesting point. She said, if you're right on the beach and if you're right in front of the ocean, then what you see at night is just
Pull your
darkness.
curtains.
Yeah, nothing. But if you're back there, then you see some night views.
Well, you look at that view there, it looks up the coastline. So there's Burley Point, there's the headland. You're getting all the lights. I mean, obviously the hinterland is just a fairyland of lights.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful with the mountains as a backdrop, so they're stunning. The low floor apartments here overlook an area that someone's spending millions of dollars on beautifying, as in the pool, the lighting, the landscaping. So even the low floor apartments have a beautiful outlook here.
Anything available on the lower levels who has exclusive access to the pool?
On the ground floor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interested.
Yeah.
Price list, please.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah, this one here, I'll put. Now we're getting into the finer details. See this end unit here, and actually this one. What we've done is actually we've put windows on the side here. Now you can see the way that building tilts. The ocean's here, as far as you can see. You get up high enough from this apartment here, you'll have ocean views out through the side windows. We're not marketing it as an ocean view. It's not the main section of window in your living area, but there are 2 side windows in the apartment. Let me show you the floor plan.
Oh yeah,
that will get ocean views. Mm-hmm. It's funny, the ocean, if you can see it, you feel connected to it.
You can always see it when you close your eyes.
So it's a hinterland apartment, absolutely. However, it will pick up an ocean view. So that's the apartment there. You have a look at it. Now remember, if I point to you, yeah, you got it. So if you have a look at the way that sits, there, those 2 windows sit on that end. Mm-hmm. From your kitchen, you're stirring your cup of tea in the morning, you can look straight out the window down to Currumbin.
Nice. And the price well too.
Price well for 2, yeah, absolutely.
It's a pity it's not a master. If it's
Yeah.
it will be far more better.
Would have been hard to get the ensuite in here in this area. That kitchen's massive. That's about
Yeah.
5 metres long, that kitchen. So that's a beautiful floor plan. It's one of my favourites. Yeah, being on the end. Obviously the ends have a bit of a premium on them because you only have the one common wall. Nice big balcony area. And yeah, good size. That one's actually the ground floor one. That's definitely
Available?
for your brother. 160 metres with the terrace as well. But typically this is 118 metres if you have a look at that one there. That's the apartment. And what you can see is then it runs from level 2 up to level 11. Now I've put a brochure pack together for everyone with the main floor plans, fact sheets. I do have the translated fact sheet, and I've also put some rental appraisals in there for you.
Are we responsible for this maintenance? No? Oh, body corporate. So even on the ground, when you're on the ground floor, they're looking after all this.
Correct.
Nice.
The townhouses, they have a terrace front and back, all covered by body corporate.
Nice.
They're about 105 per week.
The townhouse, the car park will be on the basement as well. So
In the basement, yeah. So
how
if
you
you're
go
driving
up,
it,
like if the left, or you'll have to go up.
no. So you'll drive straight into your garage. It'll have its own roller door on it. So it's like a normal double garage inside a basement. So you drive into the basement, you drive around all the cars, then you'll get to a garage door, press the button, the door will come up. You go in, pull the door down, and then you walk up internally.
Is it
Internal access.
electric or manual?
Yeah,
Because you said pool.
Okay, no,
It's a bit like
we've
Shia.
put a motor in there for your convenience.
Yeah, it's a bit like here, but without the.
It is, yeah, and the $1 million price tag.
Yeah, no, $1 million price. Do they have their own bin area? Do they
These
have
ones?
their own? Yeah, do they have their own bins?
You got me on that. I don't know. I'll have to check. All the apartments, obviously, there's rubbish chutes on every floor. But I'm not sure. Good question. I'm not sure how it works for these. I'll have to ask our designer.
So that's one.
Yeah, that's a little deceiving. This image here. Yeah, that's 1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6.
What it is? Those lines are the roofs.
Yeah.
That's a flat.
Yep.
Flat, and then you've got your pitched.
Yeah. Nice. It'd be nicer if they're still within the benchmark to get your grade.
Oh, yeah.